All right, it is Tuesday, November 10th here on the John Riggins Show featuring Dexter Manley. We got a big show today coming at you. We'll be picking up the pieces from the Washington football team and the New York Giants. Big brouhaha. And we got a special guest, legendary Hall of Famer, Dallas Cowboys, Emmitt Smith. Emmitt Smith's going to spend time with the big guys today. Riggo?
Yes, he is, and I was going to announce that, Todd, so thank you very much for stealing my thunder.
I'm here for you.
We're off to a rousing start. Dexter, how you doing today?
Better than good, better than most.
All right, Dexter's feeling good. Yeah, gee whiz, I don't know where to begin this. We will talk to Emmitt here in just a little bit. Looking forward to that. Yeah, you know, this truly is that old saying, the more it changes, the more it stays the same as far as the Washington football team goes. I mean, what are the odds? Now they've all come up with the same month on the same field. Well, it wasn't the same field exactly. Well, it was the same field.
Yeah.
But I was thinking I was throwing Joe into it.
At least home team.
JT.
It was a home game.
Home team, exactly. And, you got, 3 broken legs. Of course, it's a span of, almost 40 years, I guess, for the whole deal.
And don't forget, Colt McCoy, he left with a broken leg, too.
Yeah, ankle.
Yeah. But he got that up in Philly, didn't he?
No, he got that
was
down FedEx.
Yeah,
FedEx.
Remember, he didn't finish the season.
Well, and now, of all things, we've got Alex Smith is still holding down that number 1 spot. I almost start to feel like I'm watching a NASCAR race. All right, and then he's moved into the number 1 spot, and he's closely followed by number 7, and the 7 car is just great. It's starting to draft the 11 car. But yeah, Dwayne Haskins is now. I mean, this is so strange to me in a lot of ways, and sometimes things work their ways out in ways that you can't understand. But is it possible that Dwayne Haskins will be under center before this season's over with? Honestly, make the statement that the more it changes, the more it stays the same with this football team. I mean, what are the odds that you've got another quarterback with a broken ankle? And this completely changes the dynamics as far as I can see. There's so much stuff to try to cover here, really, as far as the team itself and as far as the quarterback position really goes. And we'll try to do the best we can, and my mind kind of gets scattered here a little bit because I don't know which one to dive on first. But let's start with the quarterback position, in that Alex Smith, number 11, is holding down the position, but he's being drafted by number 7 right now, one would think. And you never know, is Dwayne Haskins going to get another chance? And I think there's a very good possibility, hopefully not through injury, but through the fact that Alex Smith, he made some good things on Sunday, but he made some bad things on Sunday. Mm-hmm. And the guy's been in the league for 15 years, and he's not your future. I don't know. And you've got a team that, which way's the needle pointing? Is it pointing up or is it pointing down? Or is it just pointing horizontal? I'm going to guess the needle's kind of pointing down a little bit. More down than up, and horizontal at best, if you will, because you get beat at home by the Giants down here. I'm going, great opportunity, and it just didn't happen. Defense, we can get into that, too, because they didn't show me much either. Go ahead, Dex.
Yeah. Well, John, I'm in agreement with you, but I tell you, I'm a little disappointed in the offensive lineman. If this guy, the offensive lineman if Alex can't get the protection, he might not finish the season. So we might see number 7. And we don't know if number 7 going to get the job done, but they just don't seem to be a gel there. There's nobody taking the leadership and playing at a high level. And now you said Alex made some good, he did, but I felt like watching that game that was a little fear-based, and because of that, his mechanics was off. Like when one of those,
his fear,
yeah. Everything I saw him, he held his head down.
He's still not comfortable with the leg as a gun shy, as you and I discussed.
I don't know how, let's be honest about this. And we can't put ourselves in Alex Smith's position or, in his mindset. But I can certainly put it in my own mindset. Now, obviously, I have no idea. I'm guessing that there's no pain. But I would think it's very difficult. And I wouldn't be surprised if he goes to PTSD a little bit. Post-traumatic stress disorder.
You're right.
I mean, that, and so all this, dreams and all that stuff. I mean, who's to say really, when you have a broken leg, it probably damages more than just the leg. An injury of that magnitude, an injury, according to what everybody has said, that almost cost you your life, almost cost your leg. And he keeps going back to that same place. What are you doing out there? What are you doing out there? I mean, really, what is there to prove? And I think you're right, Dexter. well, if nothing else, I would say it would appear that Alex Smith, the one thing that he had. Now, Alex Smith has never gotten to, I don't think he, in his mind, and maybe that's what motivates him, has ever justified being the number one pick overall back in 19 or whenever it was, 2000. I guess it was early 2003, 4, somewhere in there. And that's what he keeps chasing, wanting to fulfill whatever it was that was expected of him. But I can't help believe that, the one thing that made him effective all these years, he had an ability to move around a little bit.
Correct.
He's a little bit like Aaron Rodgers, drafted in the same year, certainly didn't have the same success. But that's what, that first year when he played, you could see he'd get out of the pocket and make something happen on third down.
Same game.
He does not have that ability now, I don't believe.
No, he does
not. And to me, wow, that's two things. One, you can't find somebody that, and he's 15 years into the game. What's the point?
Yeah.
You're not part of the future here. I'm sorry, I don't see it unless he's going to play, until he's, 20 gets his 20-year pin or whatever it is. I don't see that happening. So to me, and that's where it comes back to Dwayne Haskins. I'm going at some point. I think that he will be the starting quarterback before the season is over. Which what does that tell you? And I think, Todd, you just said it a second ago. 3 starting quarterbacks in what?
8 games.
In 8 games. What do you make of that, Dak?
Well, I tell you what, when I saw Kyle Allen go down, I bet that guy was peeing his pants.
Alex?
Alex was peeing in his pants when Kyle Allen got hurt. Because now he has to take over. They ain't but 2 quarterbacks.
And the shock of seeing, because when I texted you on Sunday and watching it live, I told him, I said, that was one of the fastest times I think I've ever seen in watching professional football where the hit occurred and the officials waved the medical staff on the field immediately. I think faster than Alex is. So Alex is sitting there watching that, and he didn't look real good coming in initially or whatever. The shock of all that, knowing now that this guy, his brother in arms, is going through a similar situation, and it looked bad.
It did.
Well,
it is bad.
I was going to say, I don't know. It might not be. Now he gets to qualify himself. Is it Alex Smith bad? I mean, I don't. But
fortunately,
they only showed it one time. They didn't show a replay.
They only showed it one time because the leg was not going in a direction, and so luckily,
well, it looked like it was almost like a flat tire where it was flopping.
It was, John, because it was a fully dislocated ankle and with a partially broken smaller bone down there. So. Sounds like not nearly as bad, fortunately, as Alex Smith's injury, but bad nonetheless. And so now he's coming watching, and he's seen the same crew with the air cast, the medical tent, guys praying, guys on their knees. Everybody shook up. What kind of flashback was he having, Alex Smith, in his mind, coming up there going, I can't even imagine a scenario like that.
Well, you look at the offensive lineman; they don't give him a whole lot of protection. Although I'm not so sure was that a corner or safety came on a blitz.
It was Peppers. It was Peppers on a blitz who unfortunately got caught at a weird angle and was rolling and leg whipped him.
Yeah, he got called for a penalty, which was really just the way. I mean, it wasn't anything. They say unnecessary roughness or something like that, or something with the quarterback. He was basically, his body was cast into the air, and that's just the way it shook out. Just dumb luck, if you will.
Yeah.
But what you just said, Todd. What you have to assume. Let's say this: we can't assume what Alex Smith was thinking, so I'm not going to. Let's put it in these terms: what I'd have been thinking had I been on the sideline with a major blowout 2 years prior to that.
It's my own. It's my own.
I'd have been doing a George Allen, licking my fingers, going, "What did I? Why did I do this?" Because realistically, I mean, now you get down to that. There must be something else to this, because as daunting as that may have been, what's this week going to be like for Alex Smith?
Yeah.
What's this week going to be like for him? He now knows that he's a starting quarterback, and he's moving forward with the team, and he's got, I don't know, this guy's got a different set of, he's got a different
mindset. Different mindset.
Yes, a different outlook on things. Good for him.
And it's live ammunition and live fire. It's live ammunition and live fire now every week. And their game plan and going, this guy's not mobile. So we're coming after him.
Yeah.
And Well,
Dexter,
go ahead,
if you were game planning,
Oh, I'll be licking my chops.
right? And that's the game.
That's the game.
That's the violence in the nature of the game is, you got a guy
Yep.
who's probably Tom Brady-esque in his ability to move around, if that.
Or Ron Jaworski. I love getting after him. The guy couldn't move. This guy can't move. And if he does, I just feel that they have to address the offensive lineman.
But okay, Dex, how are they going to do that?
Well,
They're not exactly lined up where you can go run down to Lowe's and pick 2 or 3 up and throw them in the back of the truck and drive out to the park.
Home Depot, maybe.
And
Lowe's.
get brand names, made in the USA.
Well, that's why Morgan Moses was woofing on the sideline.
He was woofing.
He was, and the television crew, they picked up on that because they knew that Alex was a sitting duck back there,
Yep.
especially early on. And here's the other thing we don't want to see: when that pocket starts collapsing, he's trying to get on the ground now. He looks
I
like
would too.
Isn't that right? It's human nature.
This is where it just, for me, goes off the rails, because this is the whole psychology of this is completely the opposite of the way the game should be played. You got offensive linemen thinking that I got to do a better job now because Alex Smith is back there because he's been injured, and it's like, hey, you're saddling me with your problem. It ain't my problem. We're supposed to have guys back there that I do my job. I don't have to have it. I mean, to me, you're confusing everybody. What's our point? What's our purpose here? We have to protect Alex. So the guy that Kyle Allen, so he's got he's got his leg healed now. But so you're blocking better for him. You're really taking focus to block better than you did for me, and now I got a broken leg because you guys actually can kick it up a notch, but you didn't do that for me. I mean, it's like psychologically.
But guys, we just want to run the ball.
There you go.
He's comfortable with that.
Yes,
He's comfortable with handing that ball off.
And I think of course they were coming from behind, but you know what? It's like you might as well start establishing your running game. But I don't know. It's exasperating. And here you go. And I said this last Friday on the show, that to me, this was going to be you get a pretty good feel of these two teams. One team's going to move in one direction, another team's going to move in the other, possibly. And you have to feel like the Giants maybe got their nose up and are going to, they might not crash into the mountain. This team looks like they got their nose down and are going to crash into the mountain because this is going to be a hell week as far as I would think, as far as practice goes. Well, getting ready because they go up and lose to Detroit. Now I think the things are really going to start.
Well, guys, we talked
apart.
about this, right? The Giants had one win coming to this. A short week. They just played on Monday Night Football, fought their guts out. Washington football team had 2 weeks to prepare on their bye week, and you come out and are getting your ass kicked 20-3 at halftime?
That would never happen
20-3
when
the
John and I was
defense.
playing. That wouldn't happen.
I know that, Dexter.
It would have been 30-3.
It wouldn't happen.
It will happen every once in a
Total
while.
blowout.
But again, equal blame all around because this defense.
Yeah, there you go.
What the hell? I'm
That
so
first
tired
half.
of it in their statistical categories, and we're number one in this. The New York Football Giants, do you realize entering the game, they were ranked 27th
Right.
in running the football, and they had it shoved down. My God, Alfred Morris? I didn't even know he was still in the league.
I didn't either. They picked him up off the street.
I had no idea.
Alfred Morris.
Just for this game. They caught him in a pool hall up in Harlem and said, hey, Alfred, come on.
He was at Home Depot.
Yeah, that's right.
That's where they picked him up.
Right.
But seriously, to the new, and I told you, the Giants they're playing for this coach. And Daniel Jones, you see the hit or misses with him, and the hits are more so than the misses overall. So to me, it is a team with two different. I can't get over the fact that they laid this big an egg coming off a bye week. To me, that's all you need to know about preparation, the importance of that game on your home field against a 1-16.
Yeah. Well, I was disappointed to see that this team has been built around that front seven.
Right.
Especially the front four.
Yep.
And they was not disruptive at all.
Number one picks across the board.
Yeah. Well, they have all of them number one pick except Ioannidis. He's on the bench.
Well, I'm saying starting four.
Yeah, right. Even Ryan Kerrigan, he's come off the bench. He's a number one. So the point is that none of them was disruptive all day that day.
Not until the second half, right?
Second
so why
half.
is it?
This is the
Why
weird
is it?
part.
Yeah.
They did, but we say this week in and week out. They did some good things.
Yeah.
They did some bad things. And until you start doing mostly all good things, this is the kind of result you can expect. And I don't really see a whole lot changing. Just what you said, Todd. If you're against a team like the New York Giants and you're allowing them to run the football at will, and you've got these great, all first-round draft picks, and we're not talking about first. Well, Ryan Kerrigan is the exception because he's in his 12th or 13th year. The other guy, I think the oldest guy's there, it would be Allen, and he's maybe his third or fourth year.
Third year.
Third year.
Fourth.
Well, anyway, the point being is these are all young guys up there, and for whatever reason, they do things at times. But on the one hand, this is what's confusing, and I don't know if you're the coach. How do you interpret this? You completely look awful in the first half for the most part. Well, clearly 5 turnovers. You're not going to win many games with
20-3. You gave up 244 yards of offense in the first half. 240
and probably
to the
half
Giants.
that was rushing yards, wasn't it? I think they had almost 100 yards in the first half.
Let's see. It was 109 on the ground
in the first half. Yeah, that's
to the Giants.
That tells you all you need to know. But then in the second half, you turn into a different football team.
Right.
We got to give Alex Smith credit. He hit a couple big plays to Cam Sims, and that went
the McLaurin bomb.
Yeah, which was great. But then again, he's a 15-year vet. He saw this guy was running wide open. It wasn't like he had to thread a needle or anything like that. But he made the pass and he completed, and you'd expect that you'd actually expect that out of any quarterback. So they get themselves in a position to be able to win the game, and then of course he throws the game. He actually once
picks.
again, they did a good job on the Giants when they got the ball back after the second interception, and they did a quick 3 and out, and I think they only burned 19 seconds off the clock. So Washington was still in great shape. And then they get the ball back, and then you throw the deadly interception, which basically ends the game. And I don't know, I don't know what to make of the football team at this point. Are they, like I said earlier, the needle's definitely not pointing up. I don't see that. There's no way. And if you look at the bigger picture, the future, you're wasting time. In all honesty, are you going to chase this dream? At some point you got to sober up and go, winning the NFC East now. The price of it has gone so far. It's so low now. It's almost going to be embarrassing to win that division. If you come into the playoffs with a 6-10 or 6-10, let's say, or
7-9
or a 7-9 record, and you're playing a home field. I don't know. Then you can say, well, but it's in a way it's not fair to the rest of the teams out there. So my point is, Alex Smith. That's where you'd have to look real closely at the film. Is he starting to cringe? Is he starting to cringe a little bit when he gets guys around him? I'm not going to say that because that's a manhood issue, and I don't want to be accused of being, because Alex Smith can still kick my butt. But that's if he can catch me, and he can't. So I don't have to worry about that. And I am 71 years old versus his,
Ringo
35?
still got some wheels.
Huh?
Ringo still got some wheels.
Alex would be in a foot race. Who am I putting my money on?
We're going to get into his workout at the house here in a little bit here to show you.
So anyway, I would, this is going to sound like blasphemy, but I see no point in not starting Dwayne Haskins. Why not? Because what do you got to lose? Okay, the guy will smell it up so bad you can't get anything for him in the offseason. Well, guess what? You can't get anything for him anyway right now. Who knows? Maybe it'll click. Maybe he has been sobered up enough, and his ego has taken enough a hit that he's kind of like, hey, wait a second, this is a different one I thought it'd be. I better buckle down and start studying.
Go ahead, Dex.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, Dwayne did. What's the quarterback name?
Who? Yeah. Alex Smith?
Alex Smith, he did have some good plays, like that 68-yard bomb that he took. But other than that, though, you see his mechanics off, like on that interception that turned the game around. He threw that pass across his shoulder, and you look at his mechanics.
Desperation.
That's why he's throwing 3 interceptions. His mechanics off because guys are coming at him, and he's fearful.
No question.
I would say that's legitimate. And then the other one for a 15-year. What is he? A 15-year vet?
15-year vet.
15.
To throw that pass to the running back that gets tipped for an interception. The second interception.
I believe, yeah.
That was a play of desperation you don't expect from a 15-year-old quarterback.
Right.
That just was where I'm getting rid of the ball. I'm going to try and make something happen. We'll see what happens.
He want to get that ball out of his hands so he don't have to get hit.
I think you could make that case.
I would say he has happy feet, but to be for real, I think he's got happy foot.
Happy foot would be correct. Yeah.
I mean, you see him. He's as any of us would be. Any of us would be. But now you see these teams. That's the part that's bothering me here. I don't want to see an unhappy ending to this. What I am hopeful is exactly what you said, Riggo, that Dwayne Haskins has had a moment of self-reflection, maybe with his agent, maybe with his team Simba,
religion, as they say,
and realizing how fleeting this can be. And you're the golden child, the golden boy, the number 15 pick, and you're going to make everybody pay. And you were third string wearing street clothes. So hopefully you've learned. You're taking the best of this, and like you say, let's see what you got with him, win or lose, because you know what you got with Alex Smith. He's not a long-term viable option.
It's not like this team is on the cusp of going someplace, unless you're going to talk about winning the NFC East, which is an ignominious, accomplishment at this point in time. Yeah, I think that, Dex, I don't know if it was you, but I would guess if I were Dwayne Haskins, I think I would go into the coach's office, Coach Rivera, and have a sit down with him and just look him straight in the eye.
Kind of like you to Bugle, and then you to Gibbs.
And then to Gibbs. Yeah, give me the ball. But I mean, and that's basically what he needs to say. He says, look, admit to what his shortcomings. Come in and say, I got a feeling you guys are disappointed in my work. I don't know, but whatever it was, you didn't see enough of it. Listen, I'm a changed guy, and I want to prove it on the field. I just want to let you know that, and I feel I'm going to work really hard to get that job back. At least show, and then go out and be good for it, and then see if these coaches will give him a chance. Because I'm telling you, like I said, Alex Smith got great, and he's showing a lot of courage and all this stuff. But enough's enough. And I have to say that when they get all around him, and there's a certain uneasiness that you feel, because the last thing you want to see, and it wouldn't make any difference if they re-broke that leg. If any kind of an injury, if he gets a knee injury and he's got ligament damage, it's like, enough is enough. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
A broken arm, any of this stuff. It's like, I don't want to see that happen to this guy where
none of us do.
And that's really weird where fans are projecting their own feelings onto a player who just is oblivious to it. That's like there. And yet, subconsciously, it would appear he's not oblivious to it. That his subconscious knows that he is not at full strength and is going to try to protect. And that's what I'm talking about, what you guys are talking about, where footsteps are there footsteps being heard, and that's something that the coaches, they have to see that, and if they see it and they feel that that's the case, and they don't, and they, even if Alex Smith may not be aware of it, a lot of times bad posture, you're not aware of your bad posture, but the coaches, they've got an obligation to come in there and say, Alex, and they don't have to tell him anything, just say, we're going to go with Haskins, number 7. These are.
So Dexter, what would you like to see? We'll get further into Detroit coming up. What would you like to see happen for this franchise in the next couple of games?
I would like to see them start fast and the defensive line start to be disruptive. Last week they wasn't disruptive, and that hurt the football team. And I think they need to get the offensive linemen, because this is some changes there. These guys falling off like flies, and they have a lot of substitution. They need to get the offensive line fixed first.
And John, one of the things, to his point, this defense, how many times this year the defense doesn't get a job in the first half? They're getting smacked around, and then the burgundy and gold start looking better in the second half. Same thing happened with the Giants. They took their foot off the gas a little bit as well, and you see this comeback, and it actually was competitive in the second half. Yep. But the defense is letting them down.
Yeah, you got to play. They always say you got to play 4 quarters of football. This team has yet to do that, I don't think, in any particular game this fall. Yeah, they didn't. I mean, they did the same thing against Philadelphia.
The Dallas game.
Well, Philadelphia, the very first game that they won.
They were getting their butts kicked
same
in the
thing,
first
and then
half.
They pulled it out.
Right.
They pulled it out at the end.
The Dallas game was their most complete game.
I would think if Alex Smith is going to be your quarterback,
Yep.
if Alex Smith is going to be your quarterback, yeah, that's true. Dallas, they did play a pretty complete game. Then here's what you get, I don't know if you want to, you say you got to protect Alex, but I would say start running the football. Line up, and that's the best thing for offensive linemen that really are kind of a little bit shaky in the pass game. Let them drive off and hit some guys. Let them get some anger and get some aggression worked out. then come back and let them set up, and they can carry that into that because, offensive linemen love to drive block. Although nowadays, I don't know, drive block may have gone out of style. I'm not 100% sure. That's one thing. But clearly the defense is what going into the season, everybody looked at defense like this is going to be the unit.
Oh, top five. Top five we were hearing. Top five.
That the franchise would hang its hat on. They have not done that, and they need to do that. And if the defense can do that, then I think you can play that. I mean, once again, if you can keep a team, they showed up in the second half and was able to, they were somewhat disruptive, but the first half was atrocious. I don't know how you can go from Jekyll and Hyde like that, from the first half being so bad defensively to actually kind of throwing up a defense that did some things and started to harass Jones a little bit. But to me, that's where it is. The defense has got to play like everybody thought they were capable of. Because the offense, I think, going in and still, now you're finding some playmakers, but you're going to have to give Alex Smith a chance to throw the ball. And he is really now, that's what you said, he is Tom Brady. This is a pocket passer. He no longer has that ability to slip outside the pocket.
Right. This is a statue.
That you've got to figure out some kind of his passing scheme, either roll the pocket with him if he can do that. You got to figure something out because otherwise, if you're not going to run the football, guess what? Alex Smith is going to have his work cut out for him, and he is going to have
Can you imagine you got a game plan against him? And you've it's almost like you were hunting and you've got this wounded animal in the background and Dexter's just figuring it out which way you went.
Going into the brush for a wounded Cape buffalo. Not good.
Well, because the New York Giants, their offensive line was weakened. These guys only had 2 sacks. They should have been licking their chops getting to that quarterback.
Giants offense has not been very good
at all.
And the offensive line has been their weakness. Well, they realized they had 3 rookies on their offensive line playing for the better part of that game.
And they come up with 2 sacks.
One of them was their first pick overall, but wasn't playing.
And he didn't play. He didn't play.
Oh, boy from Georgia.
Yeah, he did. And he was, I think, the 4th overall.
He's a big boy, too.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Thompson.
Yes, that's a big old fellow. Big old fellow. Well, we'll get back together on this and talk about Detroit and then we'll see what's going on with developments throughout the rest of the week. All right, so John, it was a beautiful weekend. It actually was hot, Dexter.
I agree with you.
And I get some video in, and we'll let JR do some play-by-play here.
I'll do the voiceover here. Yeah, well, we were doing work at the Hacienda this weekend, and I ran a Bobcat. Look at it. In quite some time. Now, this is all joystick operated, and that is different from the one I ran about 8 years ago, which was all foot. Spreading it all over my drive, which was pretty good actually because we had some other guys there. That the work I've showed you in the past where I'm out there digging the holes, I have finally got smart and hired somebody else to dig the holes.
You're a
Dexter.
smart guy.
Smart enough, I guess.
Dexter's phone was busy.
But I have to say this, that my lovely wife Lisa Marie was out in the yard herself, and she spent most of the day out there. Of course, and she had to be that person because for me, I wouldn't necessarily know where she wants the trees. So she went out and she obviously shooting this, but then when she put the camera down, she went out with the workers and told them, okay, this tree goes there, that bush goes over here, and did all that stuff. And I ran the Bobcat and did a little manual labor, and I can say, a rake is a lot easier to run, Dex, than that shovel. I think if I was going to sign up for something, I'll sign up for rake duty. You give the shovel to somebody else. And the worst job of all, there's 2 of them. Anytime you're swinging something over your head, not a good job. The 16-pound maul, swinging that thing, you don't want any part of that. And I will tell you, running a pick ain't no joy either. I watched one of those guys out there because part of the stuff where they were planting trees used to be an old roadway into the property, and there's asphalt there. And this guy was having to use that pick to break up that asphalt. And I was sitting there watching him. Of course, he's a young guy, and he just kept going and going and going, man, that guy's good.
How about a hoe?
A hoe? Well, it depends on what kind of a hoe you're talking about. Depends on what kind of a hoe you're talking about.
What do you like working, Dexter?
Now, the hose in his neighborhood and the hose in my neighborhood are 2 different kinds. Mine's got a handle on it. And it's got a big heavy head on it. And it ain't no fun swinging one of those hoes. Now, in Dex's neighborhood, swinging one of those hoes, I don't know. What do you think, Dex?
What's a hoe? You mean like with... That's a rake.
I got you. Where you pull weeds out of it.
Yeah.
You don't pull them, but you hoe them out.
All right, guys, and now, in all seriousness, we got to, we'd be remiss. We got Emmitt Smith coming up on the show next, but today is the 245th birthday of the United States Marines, so
That is right.
a hoo-ah.
Yeah, hoo-ha.
Hoo-ha.
Yeah, and Lisa Marie was down at Quantico yesterday, and there was a bunch of, they normally, she told me, I didn't realize this, for the
Was she
birthday.
cleaning up after Dexter's?
No, that was that'd all been taken care of.
In a
Well, you
good
got to
way.
figure that,
Cleaning up
Colonel
what?
Bentley had that all.
Cleaning up and get more deals.
Oh, deals. Okay.
Right on.
Yeah.
But anyway, the Marines, normally on their birthday, it's like a week-long celebration with balls and all this, like galas and all this stuff. But
Damn
because
COVID.
of COVID, the best they could do is they get all together on the parade field down there and had some kind of celebration. So yeah, we got that. But yeah, you're right. I'm looking forward to.
And tomorrow, November 11th, Veterans Day.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Veterans Day. So we salute all of our
Salute
brothers and
everybody. Thank
sisters.
everybody for their service.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So coming up next, we're going to talk to the legendary Dallas Cowboys, Emmitt Smith.
Number 22. Very pleased to welcome Emmitt Smith to the show. It's been a long time, Emmitt, and I was just wondering, because we got a little technical difficulty here. Emmitt can't quite see us, but we see him very clearly, and I'm starting to think, Emmitt, you got elected president based on the setting that you're in right now.
Well, not quite. And that might be a job I don't think I really want. You cannot make anybody happy. John, that presidential job is like, it's like fans sometimes. Sometimes they love you and a lot of times they hate you.
Yeah, that's for sure. I was just thinking, I got to ask you this, Emmitt. What's a typical day? Because your resume goes on, which we're going to get into in a second. But I'm wondering if there is, but what would be a typical day for you? Out of the week? Are there certain things you do every day? Is there a routine, or are you traveling a lot? Give us an idea of what you're doing now.
Well, a typical day could be if I'm not riding my bike in the morning. Obviously, I do some meditation before I start my day, and I meditate and I pray and I sit quiet for about 30, 45 minutes. And then I get my son prepared to go to school. He's 10 years old, so I get him up, get him dressed, get him fed, and get him out the door to take him to school and so forth. And then I come back and I start my day, and I try to get my day started around 9 o'clock, 8:30 or 9 o'clock. And I have meetings that actually start kicking in right around 9:15, 9:30. And then I just go throughout the day having meetings, having conference calls, doing Zoom meetings. Obviously, I deal with things in the real estate space, whether I'm doing brokerage services, representing clients and tenants across the board, office, industrial, retail. And then I visit with my development team where we are doing development projects. We have a project that we're doing down in South Dallas that we remodeling a building that we bought out of foreclosure in the Opportunity Zone. And we're doing some site selection work for 7-Eleven. So I either do some geo mapping on my computer to find sites, and then I either hit the road at some point throughout the week and go driving looking for sites, or I have my brokers go do it while I'm conducting other meetings and so forth. So I do a lot of relationship building, a lot of connecting, and a lot of biz dev for what I do. I have a construction company as well, so spend time doing a lot of different things. But on Fridays, John, I take Fridays off. I don't want nobody calling me while I go take my Fridays off. If it's raining, I'm inside and I do some work. But if it's not raining, I'm out on the golf course, smoking a cigar, enjoying myself for about 4 or 5 hours. And then I come back on Friday night and I go watch my daughter cheer. I got a 17-year-old daughter that's a junior in high school, and she's on the cheerleading squad, so I go watch her cheer. And Saturdays is college football Saturdays, and my son is out of Stanford, so I'm watching my Gators. I'm watching my other daughter's school down at A&M, watching her play. And every now and then I catch a Duke game because my oldest daughter went to Duke. And I wait for Stanford to come on at night, on Saturday nights. And so that's a typical Saturday. On a typical Sunday, now that we can't go to church, I either watch it on a handheld or iPad, and then I get ready for my Cowboys to play a Sunday football, and I do a notable live event during the course of that game, and then the rest of the day is chill, or it's all football related. Then I start my Monday up all over again.
I gotta tell you, Emmitt, I don't know, Dexter. Compared to me, anyway, I feel like a piker based on everything that you just told us. My God, there's not enough hours in a day. You work a solid 4 days a week, then, right?
Oh, without a doubt, no doubt, it is a solid work day and work week, I should say. And I'm fine with it because I like to stay active. I like to been active my whole entire life, as you have. And I found things that I've been able to replace that football passion with a business passion. And obviously you got passion for your family. And so making sure that all your family things are pretty much in order and just going out and enjoying life the best way I know how now.
Is there anything about Emmitt Smith, like you got a, some kind of a hobby or something that you do that the world doesn't know about? Or is it basically it sounds to me like your main hobby is playing golf?
Yeah, well, you know what? I really don't have a main hobby outside of just playing golf and maybe hanging out with friends, smoking cigars. I used to play a lot of dominoes, don't play that as much. But I think basically playing golf and maybe smoking a cigar here and there, just relaxing. And because like I just described, my work week is so busy, and when I get a chance to just go out and just enjoy the outdoor, I'm gonna enjoy either playing golf or riding on my bike. And because I can ride my bike outside, I have a Peloton on inside too as well. So the coolest thing is when you ride your bike, you're traveling miles and miles and miles, and you're out on the road, and you're on your bike for at least an hour, maybe 2 or 3 hours. And so that is one way to check completely out and not be disturbed and just enjoying the outdoors that way.
Where do you call home now, Emmitt?
I'm here in Dallas.
You're
I'm here in Dallas. I live in a city of suburbs of Dallas called Addison, Texas. And so, yeah.
Do you have any other homes around the country, or say in some other country for that matter? I mean,
no, I don't. I mean, I haven't really found the need to have another home in a place. I mean, there's so many great resorts and great places you can go. And plus, I got friends that got homes in other places too.
That's the only way to have it.
Hey, you got to come to John's place. He got a room for you at his place.
Anytime. Right on the Potomac River.
Without a doubt, I got 5 of them, and 3 of them are being used.
I was going to ask you, I believe you grew up in Pensacola, Florida, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
When you were a youngster, Emmitt, obviously you had some great natural abilities. When did you realize that? And, was football really your main ambition, or were there other sports, but you were more suited for football, and that just kind of led you through your career?
You know what, John? It's interesting that you asked that question because, where I'm from, Pensacola, Florida, there weren't many celebrities in my hometown that I knew of. The biggest one, or the biggest name that I heard of at that time was Jerry Pate, who was a professional golfer, and Horace Jones, who played, I believe, with the Raiders. And then I think from a baseball standpoint, it was Don Sutton. And so from growing up, I just gravitated to football because my cousins all played it. My father played it. My father had a love and a passion for it. When I was like 10 years old, and I had to play up a grade because of, back in the day, you used to have this weight limit that
Sure.
Yeah, 9 and 10 had to weigh a certain weight. If you weighed too much, then you go up and play with 11 and 12-year-old guys. And so I had to go up and play with 11 and 12-year-old guys when I was 10 years old. And my coach, Charlie Edgar, was the guy that I ended up playing for. And so when I was 10, I didn't start at running back, but I did all the special team plays, the kick returns, the punt returns, and stuff like that. And I came in as a specialty guy, ran the trick plays, and because they had other guys that were older, that were bigger, and I would think that they were probably better at that, suited for that, and I did all the other stuff. But right then and there, when I started playing with the 11 and 12-year-old guys, I knew I could play the game of football because I was out there competing, and people in the stands would always ask, "Who is that kid there?" And he's what? He's 10 years old doing that at this level. That's when you knew you had something to work with. I never really focused on it, but I just heard people talking about it. And just hearing them talk about it made me feel like I was doing the right thing. And I was never intimidated. Although Billy Spriggs knocked the living crap out of me my first day of practice when I was 10 years old, he was 12. And I'll never forget that. But I overcame that fear of getting hit right away. And so from that point on, it didn't really matter. So I started as a freshman in high school, and I played 4 straight years and started 4 straight years on varsity and carried the rock countless number of times. I mean, 20, 25, 30 times a game, and just showed up every week. And so when you start doing that against quality competition, which we played against, and that's when you know you can play the game. We won state back-to-back years, and I was a part of that team that had an impact on that team, and you just gain confidence.
Well, I was looking at some of the stuff you accomplished. You had 2 years in high school where you rushed for over 2,000 yards. I believe your total high school rushing yardage was around a little bit more than 8,800 yards, which would actually average out to more than 2,000 yards a year. I don't know how many. I can't find how many touchdowns you scored, but by the time you got eligible, did you know at some? Well, obviously in high school, recruiters are coming around. You knew you were going to get an invitation to go play college football, and I take it then you were a Gator fan from day one, and that was an easy decision for you?
Yeah, I was a Gator fan from day one, and it wasn't quite as easy as it may appear because Auburn had a place in my heart for Pat Dye was an awesome guy and was a great recruiter. And so I was torn between Auburn and Florida. My mom made the decision for me, though.
I know how that
She
goes.
made it very clear that I was not leaving the state of Florida at all.
Yeah. Well, obviously, then you play 3 years there, and if I'm not mistaken, then the old ball coach comes to Florida. You did a little aught and knot and put 2 and 2 together and figured I might not be carrying the ball that much when Steve Spurrier shows up. So, what you opted for the NFL draft was that? Am I kind of in the ballpark on your decision process there?
Yeah. There's a little bit more to it than that, as you would know, the risk that we all take in the game of football. And so, after looking at my 3 years at the University of Florida and competing in the SEC, I felt like there was nothing else for me to accomplish outside of for me personally, there was nothing else for me to accomplish. As a team-wise, obviously you wanted to do better than 6-5, 6-5, and 7-4 because you won a bowl game. I always wanted to compete in the SEC for the SEC championship. Wanted to go to a major bowl game on New Year's Day and play, and that never happened. And so when Spurrier came in going into my senior year, I did not want to go through all these different changes because I had went through changes. I had learned 3 different offenses every year that I was in college. From my freshman year to my junior year, there was a brand new offense. And I never could, we as a team never could really grow into an offense and mature into an offense to really showcase our potential. And so going into my senior year, I did not want to go through all those changes. It was hard. It was a hard decision because I was leaving my freshman class, and I was committed to go to the University of Florida and play 4 years. I was never thinking about leaving school early. But when this situation and so much turnover kept happening, and I'm looking around, I'm like, I'm a senior now. I'm going to either run the risk of getting hurt. I'm going to run the risk of not being as productive as I have been over the last 3 years. Mm-hmm. There's nothing left for me to accomplish. How many more records do I need to break? Yeah. The only thing left for me to do is to go opt out and pursue something that I've always wanted to do, and that's play professional football.
Was there a team that, I don't know, it's kind of a loaded question, so, and you don't have to answer it if you don't want to, but was there a team that you was really hoping that you would be drafted by and not the Cowboys?
You know, I never thought that I would be drafted by the Cowboys, but the Cowboys was my favorite team as a child. And I thought that I would end up in Tampa Bay or out of Seattle, because both at the time in 1990, both of those teams, especially Tampa Bay, was rebuilding, and they needed a shot in the arm. And I thought I would have been that guy, considering that Gainesville was two hours away, and there's so many Gator fans right there in the Central Florida region that I thought it made great sense to perhaps bring that. I was putting 2 and 2 together, thinking that there's an opportunity for me to go to Tampa. But when that didn't happen, I thought I had 2 other opportunities to go to Seattle. And so Seattle had 2 picks in the top 10. They had the 8th pick and the 10th pick. Well, when that didn't happen, I was like, man, who cares? I just want to be drafted now. And so when the Cowboys traded with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I didn't know what was happening, all I knew was that activity was going on around that 17th pick. Mm-hmm. And so when I got picked by the Cowboys, man, I was so ecstatic. I didn't even think about 1 and 15. I didn't think about nothing. I knew that Jimmy Johnson was a winner, and because he was a winner at Miami, and he knew how to put teams together. And I was just elated that the Cowboys selected me, because I had a chance now to play for the team that I always wanted to play for.
You know, it's funny, we're having this conversation, Emmitt, because I'll tell you a little secret. I grew up in a little town in northeast Kansas, and when I was growing up in high school, I was a Cowboys fan. Here, you know, and I'm wondering, because, you know, as my career, you know, went through the NFL, you always, when you played the Cowboys, and of course, I think I got a good 10 years on you. I know, actually, it's 20. But the Cowboys were always, you know, apart from the other NFL teams to a certain extent, you know, that they were exactly, I think, that what Al Davis thought of when he always just says about excellence, always aspire to excellence, because if you could beat the Cowboys, you felt like you'd accomplished something. Did you feel, because it was the Cowboys, did you feel a little differently in the pressure that you felt maybe on you coming in there as a rookie? And what were your thoughts when you first started professional football? Did you walk in going, hey, I'm here and I'm the man, or were you kind of like, okay, let's see how this goes?
No, I didn't come in and say, I'm here, I'm the man. And I didn't feel the pressure, because what kind of pressure could you feel when you won at 15?
Another good point.
You can't get any worse than that. I mean, outside of 0 and 16. And so, and I knew in my heart that I just felt that we was going to be better. I felt like, and my father told me this before I got on the plane to fly out the day of the draft. He said, son, you're going to make that team better. I said, why you say that? He said, you're going to have things that you did not have at Florida. You're going to have a solid offensive line, and you're going to make that team better because of the way that you carry the ball. And I'm like, okay, that's easily said than done. And so, but when you get here and you start to recognize, and I played against Troy my freshman year in college. We both played in the Aloha Bowl. He played with UCLA, and I was with the Gators. And there was Kenny Norton on that team with him. There was James Washington on that team with him. And there were some other players on that team with him, that Gaston Green and so forth. And so when I got to Dallas, guess what? I got Troy Aikman as my quarterback. I got James Washington as my safety and my Sigma brother. I got Kenny Norton playing linebacker. And guess what? I played against Miami my freshman year. I played against Jimmy Johnson. Played against Michael Irvin, Daniel Stubbs, and Jimmy Jones, and a whole slew of Miami players. When I came to Dallas, we all on the same team. So I'm looking at this saying, I got quality players. And I got to do my job. They do their job, we're going to be okay. And knowing what Jimmy was putting together and how he was focused on putting that team together, I felt good about where we were. Now, my rookie year, we were not in the offense that would definitely benefit all the players and all the talent that was on that offensive unit. Jimmy brought Norv Turner in, and that changed the game because Norv Turner came in with an offense that I ran in high school. It was my same offense we ran in high school, the same numbering system that we ran in high school. And so I felt at home. And my job was pretty simple. I mean, not only running the ball, but even in the pass protection and running pass routes, all of that was pretty simple. And so that part felt natural for me. And not to mention all of the great players that Jimmy brought in. I mean, come on, you got Michael Irvin coming back. Then you have Alvin Harper come in, Daryl Johnson, Tommy Agee, all of us end up gelling together. And you know what? My very first start was against Washington. And I was the only running back on the roster. They had cut Timmy Smith, who came from Washington, who I thought was a great player. When I got there was Timmy Smith, there was Keith Jones, there was Terrence Flagler, guys that I thought was the bomb. I'm like, you got a guy that rushed over 200 yards in the Super Bowl as the running back, and I got to compete against all of this. It was almost like, wow, it was a surreal moment, and they treated me like a daggone rookie, like I was.
They cut you no slack, huh?
Once the dust settled, and they named me as the starter, I mean that was game 2 up at RFK. So I never really thought much about 1-15. I just thought about the possibilities of us being good. And when Norv came in, that team, our confidence grew even more. And I think that in itself made a difference. It's one thing to play football and have talent. It's another thing to play football, have talent, and have a system where everybody gains confidence. And that's what we had with Norv Turner.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that, Emmitt. What were you thinking? You know, you guys win 2 Super Bowls, and then all of a sudden, I guess that Coach Johnson and your owner get into a little bit of tiff, and next thing you know, you got a new coach coming in. So when Barry came in, you know, I guess you guys were a turnkey outfit by then. I mean, is it possible that, you know, I don't want to take anything away from Barry, but I mean, could almost anybody have coached that team at that point?
You know, I really believe so. I really believe so. But, you know, all you had to do was manage that team, manage the personalities, manage the work ethic. And because, I mean, when I say manage the work ethic, it's not like we did not have the work ethic, but manage the humility and keeping us hungry. Because when you win 2 Super Bowls in a row, 2 things happen. First and foremost, you play more games than anybody in that Super Bowl league because you're going to the Super Bowl and playing extra games that others are at home watching. So your body needs to recover. So you have to manage how the players' bodies recover. The second part is you have to deal with the humility and keeping everybody hungry to go out there and compete week in and week out. Because mentally, you can be emotionally drained. People don't understand the toll that going back to back can take on you mentally, physically, and emotionally. Therefore, when I look at the Buffalo Bills, I have so much respect for them because they did it 4 straight years in a row. And it's one thing to be emotionally high because you win it. It's another thing to be emotionally depleted because you lose.
Yeah.
But these boys here did it 4 straight years in a row. So I gained so much respect for them just because they kept it together, remained hungry in spite of the challenges and disappointments, and kept going and kept going and kept going.
Well, then, you know, you guys, the regime that you played there obviously has moved on quite a few years ago, and the the Cowboys now are not the same team by quite a bit, and they haven't been that way for quite a while. Do you keep up with Jerry at all? And how is the team? Because the Cowboys actually have fallen into an area, that they were, like I said, back in my era, they were the team to beat, really, and
Right.
certainly during your era. But now they're just another football team, and sadly, the Washington-Dallas game is just another football game, which I'm sure when you played was anything but. But what do you look at when you look at your old franchise now, and what do you see?
Well, I see a franchise that have been very inconsistent in terms of, and been trying to take, or how do I put it? There's been some inconsistency there, but there's been some solid moves. But unfortunately, they have a tendency to mess up the chemistry somewhere in there, because as you know, chemistry is extremely, extremely important, and trust is extremely, extremely important in any organization. So when I see our team and I see us, I ask myself the question, what are we doing? Are we trying to appease a changing league and become more pass happy? Or are we sticking to the core of who we are as an organization? And I think we do the first part versus the latter part. And me personally, I believe the core of the organization has been, and the reason why we won so many and have so many Super Bowl championships in our trophies, in our trophy case, is because we had an organization that believed in running the football and throwing the ball with a level of balance and consistency straight across the board. We had an organization, and our Super Bowl championship teams were built that way, inside out, where we could run the rock and we could stop the run. Doomsday defense. Come on. Putting pressure on the quarterback and stopping the run. Our defense in the 90s, who did not get enough credit for what they did, could stop the run and shut down the pass. Offensively, back in the 70s, you had Dorsett, Newhouse, and Staubach, and Danny White, along with Drew Pearson and Tony Hill, and the great tight ends doing what they were doing, and we had that defense. So we stopped the run, and we ran the ball, and we threw the ball with balance. Our organization we're throwing the ball way too much because we are adjusting to what the league is looking for. Everybody's trying to find a Tom Brady or a Drew Brees or a Patrick Mahomes and trying to draft those kind of players. Why don't you draft what have gotten you to the Super Bowl and stick with that? Pittsburgh does a great job at that. They're not that different from when the Bradshaw era was there. They're not that different from when Mean Joe Green and Jack Lambert and that great Steeler defense. They're not that different today. They play the same way, and I think that's the difference in terms of getting back to the Super Bowl versus just playing games and looking like you have everything intact. Our team last year, for example, our defense last year versus our defense this year, it's night and day.
Yeah.
It's night and day. Now, I understand injuries take place, and they do happen. Heck, nobody knows that better than you guys in the Skins. Come on. So that happens, but it happens to all teams. So you have to figure out how to keep all of that stuff together, and you have to set the expectation of every player that you draft. This is who we are. And when players come in, they need to know who you are before they even get there. They should know what to expect before you even draft them. And I don't see that's happening with our Cowboy team. I just don't.
Well, let's turn the tables here and go in a different direction. I would be remiss if I didn't ask you what it was like to be a judge in the Miss Universe contest.
Man, that's crazy. Obviously, it was kind of cool because you see some of the most beautiful women in all the world ascending up on Miss Universe, and to try and judge beauty is one thing, and trying to get beyond beauty is another. And the way they want you to judge it, obviously, they want you to judge beauty, they want you to judge confidence, and they want you to judge if you can find some unique qualities about the individuals based off of physical appearance and then based off of their communication style and how they answer and respond to certain questions. Then you try to put it all together. But it was kind of cool. It's kind of cool.
Were there strict rules as far as the judges and the contestants, where basically the only time you saw the contestants was they was up on the stage and and they were being now it sounds so bizarre to say they were being judged. That almost sounds, what is it, Me Too movement will be checking in here, so I apologize to anybody that way, but clearly, it's a beauty pageant for better or for worse, but there was, like I said, I would imagine there were strict rules with the judges and the contestants.
Oh yeah, there was. I never really saw the contestants until the day of the event. What I was given was a brochure that had pictures of all the girls, all of them, or should I say, all the young ladies?
Yes.
And so, with that said, all of the young ladies and all the contestants themselves, was all in this photo, in this book, and it's like a photo album. And so I had to go through the photo album itself, recognize where they were from and who they were, and just see the beauty, and circle the ones I thought would make the top 10. And so when I went into the event, I saw them, I recognized them. I had my my media guy right there with me, and I'm like, okay, I see. Now they got the gown. Now you got to go through the gowns. Now you have to go through the swimsuit and everything else, and then they have to answer the question. So you were able to put things together prior to seeing them in person, because photos can be photoshopped, but when you see them in person, it's like, okay, I get it now.
Was it basically a one-day event? I mean, did you do everything nuts? What do they call it, soup to nuts, all in one day, or is it stretched out over a period of days?
No, it was pretty much a 2-day event for me, because I didn't have to go through everything that they did, because some of the packages were shot before I even got there. So what you see on television is the actual show. But then once the actual show begins, I'm there the next day, and here come the ladies. They all come out at one time, and they already have knocked it down to a top 10 or top 20 based off of some of the things that we saw.
Well, now let's move on to your Dancing with the Stars. You were the champion, I think, in the 3rd season of the event. What was that like? And I'm just curious to know how much work you had to put into that, and compare it with what you did to prepare to play a football game.
Well, let me say this. It was more work and more time consuming than I actually realized. It was fun. I had a blast, but I thought that I could learn a minute and 20-second routine. I mean, think about it, John. We learn playbooks this thick. And I'm thinking a minute and 20-second routine cannot be that difficult. And so I paid for 4 hours of work to get that in. Well, when you got a month to prepare for week 1 and week 2, you got plenty of time to prepare. So my month was almost like training camp. So I learned the first 2 dances in a month. That's plenty of time. But then once the show began and then you start to accelerate from week to week, you come to realize 4 hours is not enough. And then you start putting in 6 to 8 hours. And I mean 6 to 8 hour days in the four corner room just doing nothing but dancing. And you sweating your behind off because you're going through a minute and 20-second routine religiously over and over and over and over and over. And you're sweating, you're getting a cardio workout, which is good because some of the dances are fast dances. When you start talking about the jive and you start talking about the samba and the Latin dances and so forth, all of that stuff is quick. So your heart rate is actually up and moving and pumping. And so what I came to respect about it is learning the techniques. It's not that easy. Holding up the posture for a minute and 20 seconds as you dance and not having your shoulders bounce up and down, but dancing underneath all of that is not as easy as it appears to be. And like anything that we do on the football field, a great artist make everybody in the stand feel like they can get on the field and do the exact same thing.
Yeah, you're right.
And that was the challenge of trying to make everybody in the ballroom and everyone on television feel like they can get on the floor and dance just like me. And I think we accomplished that.
Well, I was going to say, all that dancing with no cocktails and no cigars, Emmitt. How do you account for that?
No cocktails, no cigars. Well, I had cocktails now. I had that before a dance. I would take a shot of tequila before I go out, before the show begins.
Ah, that's nice. Which I don't think you ever did in the training or in the locker room, did you?
Never. But before dance, I started taking a little shot of tequila, saying, let's go do it.
All right. Well, Emmitt, we kept you long enough because you are a busy man, as we now understand, and so we're going to let you get back to work. And I can't thank you enough for coming on the podcast with us. And unless Dexter's got a last, and it could be a long ball question, but I'll throw Dexter. You can throw one in if you want here.
Well, Emmitt, I just following John Lee. Hey, thanks for coming on.
No, thank you guys. Y'all be good, be safe, and take care of yourselves and your family. Much love.
Thank you,
Take
Emmitt.
care.
Peace out.